Hi, everyone. I'm away in Lake Geneva, Wisconsin for the annual meeting of the National Association of United Methodist Foundations. Consequently, I can't be there this month, but I'm still going to participate through this video devotion, and I want to thank my colleagues for giving me this opportunity. As you may have already heard, we're going to be talking about church staffing this month in our discussion time, and as a way of entering in, I thought I'd give a devotion on Exodus, the 18th chapter, a very familiar story about Moses and his father-in-law Jethro. I'll be picking up in the 13th verse. On the next day, Moses sat and served as judge, settling disputes among the people. Those with grievances surrounded him from sunrise to sundown, waiting to present their cases. Moses' father-in-law, Jethro, noticed all that he was doing for all the people, and he asked Moses, "What do you think you're doing? Why are you the only one able to judge the disputes of all these people who surround you from sunup to sundown?" Moses responded, "These people come to me seeking direction from God. When two people are arguing and can't resolve their differences, they come to me, and I settle the matter between them. This is one of the ways I help the people understand God's requirements and instructions." Jethro replied, "What you are doing is not good. The responsibility is just too much. You're going to wear yourself out, and not only that, you're also going to wear out the people. You can't do it all by yourself. I'm going to give you a piece of advice, so listen up, and may God be with you. You should represent the people and carry their concerns to God. Teach them God's requirements and pass along God's laws. Show them the right way to live and the kind of work they should be doing. As for all of these other duties you have taken on, choose competent leaders who fear God, love truth, despise dishonesty, and won't take a bribe. After you divide and subdivide all the people into the various groups of 1,000 and hundreds and 50s and 10s, put the leaders of integrity you have chosen over each of these groups. Let these righteous leaders be ready to judge the people whenever it is necessary. If there is a major problem, they can bring it to you. Otherwise, let these select leaders handle the much more minor problems. This will be much easier for you, and it will help them carry your burden. If you do what I advise and God directs you, then you will be able to handle the pressure. Not only that, but all these people standing around needing help will be able to return to their tents in peace." Moses accepted Jethro's advice and did all that he said. He chose competent leaders and put them in charge of the community of Israel. He divided and subdivided the nation into groups of 1,000 and 100 and 50 and 10, and he appointed a leader over each group. The righteous leaders judged the people whenever disputes or problems arose. Any major quarrels they still brought to Moses for his judgment, but every minor quarrel they judged among themselves. Doug Poe, the former director of the Lewis Center for Church Leadership, highlights some great leadership qualities and takeaways from Jethro's instructions to Moses. He identifies 5. First, it's not about you. Moses had become the center of attention in the Israelite camp because he had taken on the responsibility of solving everyone's problems. He literally was running himself ragged, trying to do all of this, and he still wasn't getting everything done. So the people were becoming frustrated as well. Jethro, seeing all of this, finally speaks up, and he's pretty blunt. "What do you think you're doing?" In other words, he's asking, why are you making yourself the center of everything that has to be resolved? Moses' response can be summed up this way, according to Poe. "These people expect me to have all the answers." Does that feel familiar? Jethro is unambiguous. This isn't good, he says. By making it all about you and what you do, you're killing yourself. And worse, you're leaving these people frustrated and unempowered. I'm paraphrasing here, but you get the idea. Making ministry about ourselves always ends up in this place. It limits what the beloved community can achieve, and it quickly burns us out. It's not about us, and the second point is, we're called to be the instructors of the people. Jethro tells Moses, teach them God's requirements and pass along God's laws. Show them the right way to live and the kind of work they should be doing. That's easy to say. It's just not always easy to do. Powell thinks, and I agree with him on this, that this is really about casting vision. Moses is stuck in the role of being the ultimate problem solver, in part because he hasn't taken the time to focus on vision and making sure that that vision is embedded in the people so that they fully understand who they're called to be and where they're headed as a people. A lot of times individuals ask questions because of their uncertainty about exactly what's expected of them, where they're going. When people have the big picture, when we take the time to really articulate again and again with great clarity the vision of what's going on, and once everyone owns that vision, then most, if not all of the awkward conflicts and challenges that come up don't have to be answered by some wise leader. People can figure it out on their own. And speaking of the people, the third point is build your team. Jethro makes it clear that Moses must build a team. Jethro suggests that Moses' job is to mentor the leaders. And he even goes on to say that this is something he should teach the leaders to do as well. Notice how they break into groups of 1,000 and 150 down to 10. Each layer of leadership mentors and grows the leadership beyond it, creating a leadership pipeline, to use the lingo, that allows them to develop and grow and much more capably get where they are intending to go with their vision. Building that capable team not only addresses current needs, but it sets you up for a strong future. And notice the chief focus of who is to be called. Choose competent leaders who fear God, love truth, despise honesty, and won't take a bribe. Now, I know preachers aren't being offered a lot of bribes these days, at least I never was. But the point here is that character matters. When I was serving, I relied on something called the 4C model when I was hiring, or even when we were identifying volunteer leaders. I think you're going to get a handout on it a little bit later. But the first and the most important of the 4 C's is this: character. It really matters. And once the team is built, you've got to learn to trust the team. Jethro makes it clear that it's not just enough to call out these competent leaders, but that Moses has to give them appropriate responsibility. Jethro suggests that the team hear the issues first before they ever bring them to Moses, so he can focus on the critical leadership issues and not wear himself out. When building a team, trust the team to do its work. The trick for leaders is finding the right balance of being involved, but not so involved that individuals feel as if they've lost all sense of power. Have you ever been on a whitewater rafting trip? Here's how a typical raft is structured. There's one guide in the back and then either 4 or maybe 6 people in the raft with them. Everybody has a paddle in their hand. Everybody has a task to do. The guide sitting in the back instructs and does some steering of the raft, but everybody's got to do their part, and everybody has been clearly guided to know what their part is. When the team works collectively, you shoot the rapids beautifully, And when they don't, well, sometimes it just tips over. But if you do it right, everybody ends up having a lot of fun. And finally this, be a person who's willing to listen to advice. That's how they describe it in Scripture. Jethro gives his son-in-law some advice, and according to Scripture, Moses accepts the advice. But I would expand it beyond advice. Choose to be a lifelong learner, and not just on theology, which is certainly very important, or biblical studies, also important, but also study and hone leadership skills. Learn the areas that you don't know a lot about, whatever those areas might be. And be willing to ask yourself blunt questions about where you need to grow. And where you find, go get some continuing education. Find a mentor who can work with you, or make it a subject of the next book you're going to read. And here's one thing. We're all prone to go out and seek for help when we're in a rough patch and we're struggling to break through on something. The real success comes when we understand that we're always seeking that advice. We're always looking for ways to learn and grow. One of the great privileges of a life of ministry for me was always the fact that I was called to be a person who was always learning and sharing those learnings and those insights in the beloved community. Well, just some thoughts. I'm holding you in prayer today as you share with one another and you enjoy this time together. Peace.